Should you watch Banished from the Hero's Party and Retire to a Countryside? It's the whole name. Anyways, regardless, should you watch it? Our story starts looking from the perspective of a side character, the guide to the hero. There are incredible people in the hero's party, but the guide is the only one that cannot gain strength sufficient enough to keep up. So, with this knowledge, he decides to step back and retires to a countryside, only to find out that he might have very well been the bread and butter of the entire team, the glue that kept them together, so to speak, regardless of strength. Alas, the show progresses through his perspective of living a quaint, quiet life, opening up a potion shop, looking after the people in a small town, and settling down with an old love. First and foremost, this show does a lot of cool ideas and subverts a lot of expectations, but it is also that. A guy hanging out with his waifu in a town making potions. And I honestly think, in some regards, if you can accept this and fall in love with this show is brilliant. In fact, when it tries to do some of the more intense plot threads, I find it gets a little rocky. That being said, one of the biggest criticisms I think people can justifiably have with this show, and what would definitely keep you away, is this show is ungodly slow. It is incredibly slow. But I think that's the point. The main character was in the party with the hero, which is an unstoppable, ravaging god that destroys just about everything in her path, constantly in conflict. And alas, the guide finds peace and harmony in a quiet town that nobody even knows the name of. The daily life and happenings and ways you can solve the problems in front of you, to me at least, feel hopeful and peaceful and interesting, but is also quite slow for people who want more out of a show, who want all the bells and whistles, the chaos, the crescendo, the building of an orchestra to get to this massive point, the swell and the pop. This show doesn't exactly have that. A little bit. In waves, maybe, but largely keeps its peaceful atmosphere. Oh, also, one important thing to note that is a constant thread throughout this entire show: every single person in this world is given a trait, kind of like a skill tree, if you will. The barbarian, the berserker, the brawler, these kinds of things. And based on your trait given, you will have not only the ability to gain skill in this profession with incredible speed and proficiency, but also you will be pulled towards that proficiency. So say if you were born with the assassin trait, you would have an inclination to not only harm people or assassinate people, but you would also gain massively from doing so, gaining traits and abilities and skills that make you a force to be reckoned with. But you are not enslaved to that idea. You can still choose. It's just a massive, let's call it talent, born within every person that resides in this world as a gift from the gods. This is something the story plays with a lot. And again, one of the things that this show does brilliantly is open up an expansive world with very interesting rules. And again, I think it does so many interesting things. Like, the hero is terrifying. The hero is everything from a benevolent knight that wants to save the world. She's cold, she's in some cases feels cruel, and in that is very interesting because it is like this Terminator-like apocalyptic ender of an apocalypse type figure, almost inhuman in a way. But in that weird inhuman human, there lies fun story threads that they absolutely capitalize on. Sorry, I'm getting too ahead of myself, but I will say, who is this show for? If you like the slow pace and interesting ideas and concepts, if you like seeing a hero that is, again, contradictive, interesting concept, if you like seeing the peaceful life, also, as somebody didn't mention, if you also like an actual resolved relationship, meaning you get to the big end, it's not just left on a cliffhanger of, do they like each other? Will they ever harmonize? No, they go all in, like literally all in. Wink, wink, nudge. Sorry, but this show is very, very fun. But I will say, as far as people who should not watch this, who I do not think would like it, it is incredibly slow. And if you tend to like a lot of shows that build to a swell, that have conflict, that have stakes, this show airs on less of that and synthetically creates it a little bit towards the end, which is to me where I find I fell off. Actually, I wish it would have kept its pace instead of trying to be two things at once. But yes, this show is incredibly slow, so if you do not like shows like that, if you want to keep pace, you want to have something interesting, all these things, this is definitely not an Overlord type show, which has great ideas and keeps incredible pace and constantly introduces really interesting characters. This show is more of a show where here are two characters, here's their daily life, here's the harmony that exists within it, here's the fun ways they find out how to solve problems, here's them getting closer and closer as time passes, and here is honestly the beauty of a simple life. The idea of being a hero or a champion is frankly oversold, and the simplicity of an existence is also beautiful, especially when the world almost decides your fate. No, but alas, ladies and gentlemen, I think this show is interesting. I think if you're into the shows that subvert expectations and show you a different lens on a story you've seen 1,000 times, the hero triumphing, it's really creative and really interesting. And I think you might like it if you like those shows. But be warned, get ready to sit back because it's quite slow. It's quite slow, but still fun, at least to me. Also, just to give you a heads up, it ends beautifully, at least to me. It also ends in a complete way. So if you want to see a show that's just a nice complete story, it ends making you feel very, very complete. It doesn't make you feel like you need a season 2. It just makes you happy with kind of the journey that you just went on. But alas, should you watch Banished from the Hero's Party? Yes, but be warned, it's very slow. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully I can see you again, and hopefully I can talk to you about anime some more. Thank you kindly, and goodbye.